Wednesday. I'm a little bit late today because I came back from my scuba diving trip yesterday from Cornwall and had the most amazing time, but I've been catching up with various things around the house. I need to do my grocery shopping, lots of healthy stuff. So today we're talking about gut flora and the microbiome in a bit more detail than I've gone into before. Literally, our gut is just absolutely vital for our health, for our overall immune system and our mental health as well. Just seeing, can I do that? No, I'm on already. So I mean, it starts when we're born, essentially. Whether you're born vaginally, whether you're born through cesarean section, you will then pick up microbes from your mum, from whichever source it happens to be. And those microbes tend to stay with you. They help to create the sort of foundation of your flora, your microbiome, including your gut flora throughout your life. And those microbiomes, they change sort of off and on for the sort of 2 to 3 years while you're little, and then they tend to settle. But then it's our lifestyle and antibiotics and our environment that then can make a big difference to our gut biome. Or, you know, when you think about it, 90% of the serotonin that our bodies create, which is our happy hormone, gets created in our gut. 80% of our immune system is created in our gut. So it's absolutely vital that we are looking after our gastrointestinal tract. I think there's certainly more evidence, there's more research going into it, there are more scientific studies going into it and proving that although no scientist is willing to say this definitively affects your mental health and this definitively affects your well-being, but I mean, there's so much evidence out there to point to the fact that by eating the right stuff, getting the right sleep, managing our stress well, is making us a much more effective species. You know, many moons ago, I mean, our microbiomes, our gut health has changed as we've sort of become more westernized. So as we've eaten more processed foods, as we're having more sugar and salt and alcohol and drugs and antibiotics, and as we've got more pollutants in the environment, those are all pointing to the fact that we have also got an increase in things like diabetes 1 and 2, OCD, anxiety-related illnesses, cancer, heart disease. God, I mean, how many digestive issues are there? IBS, celiac, Crohn's. There's that. I can't remember what the one is. There is actually a disease brought on by too many antibiotics, and a Clostridium difficile. I think that's what it's called. Which is a result of having too many antibiotics over a long period of time, and it literally gives you the worst diarrhea ever. But it's not just like inconvenient diarrhea, it's the type of diarrhea that can kill you, and that is just due to long-term antibiotic use. And you know, we all know that antibiotics are becoming more resistant, and I kind of thought, well, you know, I've hardly had any antibiotics myself, so maybe that means I'm not resistant. But it's not us individually that are resistant to the antibiotics, it's the actual bacterial, it's the germs, it's the bugs that are becoming resistant to the antibiotics, which is where the real danger lies. Because whether you've taken an antibiotic before in your life or not, if that particular strain of bacteria has become antibiotic resistant, you're going to really struggle, or you might really struggle if it's become resistant. So essentially, there are a few things that you can do to improve your gut health and to maintain your microbiome. If you're able to breastfeed as a woman, breastfeed your babies, because you're giving your child the oligosaccharides which help your baby feed the healthy bacteria in their gut. Formula milk companies are trying to find a type of a way of recreating the oligosaccharide that replicates breast milk. I suppose it's common sense. We're designed to feed our babies, as are all other species. And if we're not able to do that, and it has to be a formula, then some of that formula is probably not going to have quite the amount of potency as pure breast milk, for instance. When we have long-term antibiotic use, it does tend to kill off our healthy gut flora. And it's so important that we maintain our healthy gut flora. Basically, our gut has a layer of mucus. It's completely natural. It's there to protect the lining of our gut. And when you have inflammatory gut disease like Crohn's, irritable bowel syndrome, that sort of thing, the body actually starts to eat itself, so it becomes inflamed. And if we are not feeding the healthy bacteria, if we haven't got sufficient healthy bacteria in our gut, and we're not feeding the bacteria in our gut with fibre and vegetables and things like that, then actually the gut starts to eat itself. Our immune system turns on itself, which is why a lot of sort of autoimmune diseases, there's a lot of research out there pointing to the fact that they might have their foundation in our gut health. Again, it's, I read so many medicinal research papers before I come and do these lives, and I just wish somebody would say definitively, yes, this is what causes it. But of course, everybody libel and all that sort of stuff. But it does point I think everybody is absolutely hands down. If you eat a healthy diet, if you get good sleep, if you can manage your stress, you are going to provide the foundations for a healthy gut flora. And that involves eating lots of vegetables. So you want to try and eat vegetables 3 times a day. Don't avoid fruit. I mean, fruit gets a bad rap. It is high in fructose, which can contribute to fatty liver disease. But, fruit is a healthy source of vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients that we can only get through eating fruit. So make sure you eat a wide variety of fruits, lots of different colours of the rainbow. Same with vegetables. If you can eat vegetables 3 times a day, you're onto a winner. You are much better to eat 3 vegetables 3 times a day than in just one bulk lot. So don't think, oh well, you've got sort of 6 vegetables at dinner time. You are better to have 2 at breakfast, 2 at lunch, and 2 at your evening meal. It's just because your body can synthesize that a whole lot better. Various diseases, particularly autoimmune diseases, have been linked to an imbalance in our gut flora, in our microbiome. And it's about having healthy bacteria, but also having the prebiotics. So probiotics are basically the healthy bacteria. And prebiotics are what feed the healthy bacteria. So things like yacon root is a really good prebiotic. Probiotics, the soil-based probiotics seem to be better. For people that have got like dairy intolerances, they can be negatively stimulated by the more the sort of the healthy bacteria. So you want something like Bacillus coagulans, which is soil-based bacteria that actually survives the trip through the stomach, where you've got the gastric juices, which pretty much kill and nuke everything. So you need a probiotic that will survive that trip into the colon, because that's where the healthy bacteria do their job predominantly in the colon. But you need prebiotics that are going to feed those probiotics too, in order to reduce inflammation, in order to boost the immune system of the body. Also, it's really attached to our mental health. We have what's known as an enteric brain. So the enteric nervous system comes from our digestive system, and it's very closely related to our brain. So bearing in mind that our gut creates 90% of our serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone, it's really important that our gut is being fed with the right stuff, so that it sends out the right signals to our brain as well, and releases those happy hormones that we need in order to make ourselves feel content in our lives. So the things that you can do are eat a wide variety of colours. You want to eat vegetables, ideally 3 times a day. You want to make sure you drink plenty of water. You want to make sure that you are getting good sleep, because if you're having problems with your sleep, that is where it just affects our hormones. It affects our glucose levels. It affects our memory. I think that the foundation of health is good sleep. But you can also do so much for your mental and your physical health by making sure that you're eating a wide variety of healthy stuff. Avoid the processed foods. Even if it's marketed as healthy, it's not. Have a look at the ingredients on the back. Drink plenty of water. It's really important that your body is well hydrated. Yes, a lot of water companies add chlorine into the water supply, and I'm not entirely sure. I mean, there's a lot of, again, it's something I've read up on a lot. There's a lot of information out there saying that the chlorine that they add into our water sources is not sufficient to negatively affect our gut health. However, I can't imagine that long-term chlorine is good for us. However, if it helps us keep away the nasty bacteria, then of course that is a benefit. But you know, realistically speaking, how does that affect our long-term gut health? I don't know, because there is no conclusive proof out there that I've found yet. All I can say is that I drink a ton of tap water. I don't drink bottled water because it's in plastic, and there have been so many studies that have shown that in bottled plastic water we get microplastics in the water, which we then ingest, which can't be good for us either. So I do rely on on tap water. I often filter it. I'm not filtering it at the moment. I often do filter it, and it does taste better, but I've not noticed any difference to my health one way or another, whether I filter my water or whether I just drink tap water. I'm certainly one of the healthiest, happiest people I know, and all I can say is that I eat a well-balanced diet. I do enjoy my treats, and I drink a shed load of water, and I try and make sure I manage my stress effectively, and I manage my sleep as well as I can. And that does make a big difference. So I think it's about us being aware of all these things that do affect our microbiome, and the awareness that we actually do need to take action to make sure that we are eating healthy probiotics, and that we're also eating prebiotics. I drink mine in a daily shake every day. It all comes combined, so I know that I've got if I never touch vegetables, it has the equivalent of 6 bags of salad. It has the prebiotics, has the probiotics, and a shed load of adaptogen herbs, which also help us deal with stressors and things like that. But on the whole, I think it's just a matter of probably working out what works for you best. I recommend that people keep a food diary, because then, you know, if you feel really sluggish one day, you can check what you ate the previous day. And often it's related to our food. You know, our gut is so vital for our overall health and well-being on every level. So energetically, mental health, whether our muscles grow, you know, whether we've got belly fat, how much body fat we have. It's so important. But also it's really important to remember that we need healthy fats. A lot of people say, oh, no, I don't want to eat fat because I don't want to get fat. Healthy fats don't make you fat. Our entire nervous system requires fat in order for it to work properly, because it lines the little nerve cells that we need in order to transmit messages and signals around our bodies effectively. Healthy fats are absolutely vital. So things like avocados, I got cooking coconut oil, olive oil is very good. Nuts and seeds are a fantastic source of healthy fats. And you can eat foods that are high, they contain a lot of L-tryptophan, and L-tryptophan helps release serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone in our brain. So things that contain good sources of L-tryptophan are, again, seeds, nuts, avocados, dark chocolate, yay, bananas, yay, because I love bananas. People give bananas a bad rap. They're actually quite good for you. Just either have half or one a day. You don't need more, but they're a great source of so many vitamins, minerals, and fibre. Turkey is a great one for tryptophan, coriander, eggs. What else? I think I've said all the main content. Fatty fish, oily fish. Very, very good for your gut health and your brain health. So I mean, if I was to give somebody a recipe for healthy gut and healthy brain health, I would say eat healthy fats. Make sure you include those in your diet regularly. Eat vegetables 3 times a day. Eat a wide variety of fruits, and ideally go for the fruits that aren't too sweet. Although I do eat a banana, I'm also very active and my metabolism works really, really fast. I think if you're trying to lose weight, you perhaps want a banana maybe 2 or 3 times a week and not every day. Have things like blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, great, blackberries. Go for the darker shades. There aren't many fruits and vegetables that are blue. So try and include those in your diet. Aubergines, oh, delicious. I love aubergines. But beware, because I know a lot of people use a lot of fat for aubergines, and healthy fats are good, but not in excess. Cut out sugars. Sugar is so bad, and it's hidden in so many of our foods. It's absolutely crazy. A tin of tomato soup has like the equivalent of a can of Coke. A glass of orange juice, fresh, pure orange juice, has the equivalent sugar of a glass or a can of Coke. I mean, it's scary. When you start to compare nutritional values, it's just bonkers. And something that's marketed as healthy actually isn't. It's got so much sugar. So try and avoid the sugars and educate yourself about the hidden sugars, things that end in OSE, OZE, maltose, sucrose, blah, 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 blah. I can't remember them, dextrose. They're just hidden sugars, and they are seriously bad for you. Artificial sweeteners are not good either. Cut out your sugars. Basically, if you're a meat eater, so if it swims in the sea or runs around a field, you can eat it. If it grows off a bush, if you can pick it off a tree, if you can dig it up from the ground, eat it. If it is in a packet and it's in a supermarket and it says, buy me because I'm super healthy, I would walk away from it straight away. Create your own food at home. I know it's a bit of a pain in the bum. Double up, triple up your portions. Use a slow cooker. Just get on board. When you think about the implications of allowing your gut health to suffer and the implications of things like cancer, dementia, heart disease, they're pretty serious implications. So all it takes is preparing your own food so you know what's gone in it. Avoid things like pasta sauces. They are full of sugar. They are just mayonnaise. Just get rid of it. A healthy mayonnaise alternative, and this is something delicious. Use something like Greek yogurt, live Greek yogurt ideally, because that might have the healthy bacteria in that might survive your gastric juices. A little drop of fresh lemon juice. I also add a small teaspoon of freshly grated horseradish and freshly chopped up chives or spring onions. It's delicious. It's way more healthy than mayonnaise, and it's just a really nice dressing. Balsamic vinegar, olive oil, they're just yummy. They're delicious. But avoid the shop bought salad dressings, avoid the shop bought pasta sauces, avoid the shop bought soups. If you want a soup, just bung a load of vegetables in a pan. Cook it really slowly and gently so you don't obliterate all the vitamins and minerals. Slow cooking is seriously important when you want good gut health. Avoid juicing because you're removing all the fibre, and fibre is what feeds the healthy bacteria in our colon. Essentially, I don't think a lot of people understand this. The healthy bacteria, so the probiotics are really needed for the work that happens in our colon, and there's more and more research being done and studies being done on poop, basically, and you can have a fecal transplant these days, and it's been proven to work incredibly well. So for somebody who has got, they've just buggered up their system because of too many antibiotics, or they've had a long-term illness and they've had to have antibiotics, because sometimes antibiotics are good, but doctors hand them out willy-nilly, and we shouldn't be having the antibiotics on the whole. If they're medically required, yeah, go for it. If they're not, really check whether actually you need antibiotics, because they'll only help with bacterial infections, they won't help with viruses. And I come across a heck of a lot of people with a cold who want antibiotics. It's not going to fix it. A cold is a virus. Antibiotics do not respond to viruses. But going back to the poop transplants, so there was this study done, and it was actually stopped because it was deemed unethical, purely because the people that were on the antibiotic strain and not the fecal transplant strain were not gaining any benefit. But the people with the fecal transplant, within 2 to 3 days, their symptoms had completely resolved themselves. Because basically, you remove poop from somebody who's super healthy and you stick it up the bum of somebody who's not so healthy. And yes, I have to say, I'm not entirely sure I would want somebody else's poop up my bum. However, if it's the decision between a fecal transplant and chronic illness, hey Sarah, I would choose the fecal transplant, particularly if I could choose who gave it to me. Maybe I don't want to know. But that experiment was shelved because the people who were having the fecal transplant responded so well against the people who were on just standard antibiotics. That's got to tell you something. So I'd imagine that's the way forward. Whether or not they can put fecal transplants into little pills that we can pop rather than having, because right now it's an injection, it's a big thing of somebody else's poop. But if they're repopulating our microbiome healthily, it's got to, what would you prefer? I would go that route. I don't want chronic long-term illness. And I suppose it's a bit like a blood transplant. Sometimes it can save your life. I wouldn't necessarily want somebody else's blood either. But if it saves your life, you're going to take it. A bit like fecal transplant. I guess it's been treated so or checked for so there's no nasties in it. But if it delivers all the goodness that it needs for your microbiome to start to flourish again and work effectively and to protect you from all the nasties that are out there, maybe that's the way to go. Let's repopulate our bodies. I don't know. What do you reckon? What are your thoughts on repopulating your microbiome? So essentially that's it. I mean, it is, I think there's so much emerging evidence out there. I mean, go and Google it. Gut health and mental health, microbiome health. Go and do some Googling. If you're not entirely convinced yet, just research it. There are some fantastic books that I can recommend to you to read that will corroborate everything I've said now. They're unbiased. They're not attached to any particular industry. So if you want those books, send me a message. I'll send you the links to them. Gut health is the way to go on every level. And even if it's just as simple as getting rid of belly fat, gut health is where it's at. So I hope this has helped a little bit. I didn't want to get too scientific because it can actually get quite complicated. But essentially, look after your gut. You want to eat high fiber foods, lots of vegetables. Go for all sorts of colours of the rainbow. Try and manage your stress, because stress is a killer of healthy bacteria. Feed your healthy bacteria with prebiotics, because they need something to eat. Otherwise, they might start nibbling into the mucus that surrounds your intestines, and you don't want that. Drink lots of water and exercise as well. Exercise is also something really good for our gut health. Because it helps to detoxify the body. We're not supposed to be sedentary. We need that movement for our lymphatic system and our circulatory system. And so, if you are delivering more blood and more oxygen and more nutrients to the digestive system, which of course happens when you exercise, you're also taking away more of the bad stuff that might play havoc. You're also giving yourself a natural endorphin boost, and that's what our bodies are designed to do. Do you know what? I think we get so stuck thinking you want the quick fix, because Western society is so geared towards quick fixes. We're so disposable, processed food, sugary drinks, blah 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 blah. I mean, we've really screwed ourselves over. GMO crops, that's another conversation. Air pollution. There's new research out there suggesting that there's a link between air pollution and our gut health. And I mean, it makes sense. Our air is full of toxins. Even if we live in a technically clear area, it's so full of toxins, and our bodies have to deal with that. It's still a stressor that our bodies have to deal with. So on every level, if you can help your body, you're going to be doing yourself a massive favor. And at the end of the day, you know, you have a responsibility for your life pod, and it's not down to anyone else to make the choices except for you. And it's about making, I'm not saying being super healthy all the time, you know, have those treats, but make the treats 20% of the time, and make the healthy lifestyle changes 80% of the time. Because if you want to live a life that is productive and fruitful, and where you've got energy and where you feel happy, it's just a few simple choices. That's all it is. It's not rocket science. It's just making a few simple choices. So anyway, I hope this has helped. And I'm sorry I'm a bit later today. I've had a really hectic day and it all went a bit pear-shaped. So I'm catching up now. So anyway, if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, if you've got anything specific that you want me to address on a future Wellness Wednesday, send me a private message or leave me a comment, and I will make sure to include that. I have done quite a bit around gut health recently, because I'm just such a proponent of the fact that if we look after our innards, they help to look after us on the outside. And it's true. It does make an effect. And we get one life. This is not a rehearsal. And if we're lucky enough to be reborn, and that happens, well, then I hope we carry on what we've learned in this life into the next one. But let's make the most of the one we've got right now before we start worrying about the next one along. So you guys, thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will catch you soon.